One of the most important signs that I saw at the Gilbert rally was a family, the grandparents actually. They had their posters saying that, hey, don't send my kid to Iran. This is the part that we are sometimes in this discourse we lose. These are real people. This is their precious grandson out there being in danger, in my opinion, for no reason.
Welcome back to the Around the Districts podcast. I'm Gabrielle Mazar.
I'm Nicole Brown.
And on today's podcast, we have back AJ Kurdoglu. He's the co-leader of Chandler Gilbert Indivisible. He hosted the third No Kings podcast, the third No Kings protest on March 28th. About 2,500 people showed up to his specific protest. So welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Nice
so
to see you both.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about, you changed the location of this protest. So tell us a little bit about that and how that went.
Well, we are Chandler Gilbert Indivisible, and we are trying to organize in this two East Valley cities. Previously, we concentrated our efforts. When I say our efforts, I mean the big protest, No Kings 1 and 2. They took place. We did it in downtown Chandler. And when you look at the demographics, the politics of these two cities, Chandler is more favorable, or we have more common in our groups with Chandler. And we felt like it was time to move into a new neighborhoods, new cities that needs to hear our voice. That is the important part, because when you do this kind of work, especially like right now, the resistance work, it's great to be in the communities that you are approved, that you get a lot of support. That's wonderful. But the idea here, especially what we are accomplished here, it's to grow that grow that crowd, the numbers. So you need to get into places that you haven't been. And for that reason, we were very successful in Chandler on the first two times. The second one, I believe we were, if I remember correctly, around 4,000 to 5,000 people. We decided to go into Gilbert. And we never had this kind of a protest out there, neither any other organizations. You know, we're not the only ones, of course, in town. And then that was great. We did in the around the city building out there. We had 2,500 people showed up in a Saturday morning for this one. Big crowd, and plus the passing by people who are not part of the protest, but they were extremely positive to our stuff. This whole No Kings 3, it was a huge success. Gilbert, again, you know, it was 2,500 for us. Across Arizona, we had more than 82 different protests. That's 82 different communities, cities that showed up. And the number is 101,000 people showed up just in Arizona.
Yeah. Wow.
Compared to previously, we had about 70. So these numbers are growing everywhere. And nationally, you might ask, we had over 2,700 protests across United States, and there were few outside of the United States as well. And that total number this time, it came out as around 8 million people. So we're moving forward in this work, I should say.
It's interesting that you talked about Gilbert, because it's a very conservative area, right?
Yep.
So normally Gilbert would not, I don't want to say participate, but it would be unlikely that a big protest is held in that area, right? Because they're not normally like, I mean, I don't know.
No, you're right. You're right. I totally agree with that. And that was the reason that we showed up, because you want to be out there for two reasons. First, people that shares your values, your opinions about what's going on, you want to make sure that they don't feel alone. And that's one of the biggest thing in this organizing and politics. You reach out to people, you connect with them, and the first thing they say, oh, I thought I was the only one in my community.
And you want to give them a voice as well.
Exactly.
Right.
And then on top of that, you want to bring this message out there so that people who are not maybe sharing this message with you, that they will hear it for the first time. You just want to bring that idea into their mind. Maybe they will see and they will think, why in the world 2,500 people are in our Gilbert? We never seen something like this before. These are my neighbors. Can these people be right? What's bothering them? And is there anything that I'm missing, not considering? I want the people to think that way, and that's the base of it, so that you can grow the movement. Because this one, it is not just about one political beliefs or everything. What's at stake? It's our way of life in this country, our democracy, our future. So that's why we need everyone to participate and be conscious about what's going on.
I was going to ask, like, what do you think? What do you think drove, voters or constituents or people just in general out in Gilbert, in particular, out to this particular protest? And I think you just answered it, more like democracy and the way things are changing is what I'm hearing, right?
Yes, and this is something that I was thinking about lately. And as I mentioned last time I was here, this type of stuff happens in other countries as well. What happens is you start seeing the changes in your country, and suddenly you feel like this is not what I believe my country is about, my community is about. And I heard someone is calling this as being unhome. It doesn't look like your home, because what we are seeing right now, we are losing our rule of law in this country. We're seeing corruptions everywhere, which is the worst part is unashamed, and it's out in the open. There's always corruption, but this time it feels like they are proud of it. We're losing the peace in our communities with what's happening with ICE and everything. And now we have a war that it started for no reason. And when this type of stuff happens, our community, our people, and you and I, we all feel like, what's happening? And these are the reasons, I believe, that people start coming out in everywhere, not just in expected places like downtown Phoenix, but also in the red areas that we can call like Gilbert and Queen Creek and in northern Arizona and everywhere in the country.
I want to touch on that a little bit because I actually attended the rally out in Gilbert, which was the first time I'd been out in one in Gilbert, because I usually go in Tempe or in Phoenix. And what I liked about that particular location specifically was that it was really accessible. Yes. Parking was accessible. The street was accessible. It had a green belt, grassy area. It had trees. So it was super accessible to people, yep. Which I think is a great draw. So if you continue to stay in that location, I think that will really build. And like you said, you want to reach people in an area that might not necessarily hear those voices. So if people go and they see that and they're like, oh, this was great, they'll go to their friends and they'll talk. And, I spoke to somebody the other day that was saying, oh, I never heard this, or, oh, I didn't know that. And I said, you can talk to me, you can call me, and your voice is heard. And, these things are out there and these opportunities are out there. You just have to talk to people. So, as long as you're speaking to people in the community, other people will hear and other people will listen, even if you don't think they will. So I like that location because it was so easily accessible. Like when you go downtown, it's like you're driving around and then it's busy and there's a lot of people and it's discouraging, whereas it was so nice. You just park, you just walk and you're like, cool, this is great. And then you're on the street and then you're there for an hour and then you leave and you go get brunch. I mean, it's true.
It is important
You're
to
going,
make it
you're supporting, you're meeting a couple people.
easy for people.
And
Yes.
it was so easy. And, even when you go to Tempe, I like going there because you go walk over the bridge, but you're parking in the neighborhood. And it's not, I've been there a number of times and I'll still continue to go there, but it isn't as easily accessible as other places are. It's nice because you're on the bridge and hundreds of people are driving by under the bridge. So it's a great location, but it's not as easily accessible as a place like Gilbert is. But
I appreciate that. And,
yeah.
I mean, we did in Gilbert. The point is, of course, we need to be everywhere. Some of them will be a little bit less convenient. And I really enjoyed that you said that. I'll take as a compliment to our work as organizer, because we think about where we could be, where we can do this, how it will be easy for people to come, accessible, because everybody has different accessibility issues.
Right.
So our idea here, let's find a visible place and easy to access for our community, and then show up so they can park their car also. I mean, these are the part that we pay attention in the background and try to solve those issues in advance, so the protest will be successful.
Exactly like you said too, I feel like so many people were driving by. I had somebody else comment to me saying, asking about the protest and what is this about, and it's so dangerous. And I said, no, it's not. I said, that is propaganda. That is just, it's just a talking point. It's untrue. I said, any violence that happens is minimal. I've been to multiple protests. I've never seen any violence happen. I said, yes, I was there on Saturday. Nothing. And, how much anti-protesting did you see? Maybe a few people drive by with their Trump flags, but most people that drove by were honking their horns in support. Most people.
That is true. I would agree with that, because I was at the Tempe rally, and I think it's just that's democracy. One, like people have a right to protest whatever they believe in.
Absolutely.
That's part of our democracy. And I, for one, I was thinking that we didn't have a lot of people, protesting against the rally. The propaganda that the people who come out and protest against the current administration, they're all bad people, and they really know. To me, when you were talking earlier and you were saying why people come out, to me, it's the biggest thing is the Constitution is not being followed.
Right.
I mean, outright, blatantly not being followed. And this is something that we've had, that formed our country. So if people want to come out and protest that, what's the problem with that? I don't see.
Right.
It's not a scary thing. But I want to know from you, like, you and I, we've worked together a little bit. So why did you want to take the lead in like No Kings? Why was that such an important issue for you, where you felt you wanted to be a part of the rally and, organizing it?
Well, I got involved with the Indivisible group when they first started many years ago, well, actually after 2016. That election. And then, of course, after 2024, there was, because of the election result and people were expecting what's going to happen, there was a surge of people who wants to be involved in this one. And I was, again, in one of those people. And going back to what I said earlier, you need to reach out to new people when you do this kind of work. And that's the important part. I do local politics as well. I'm involved in that. But I wanted to be involved in the Indivisible group and the work that they are trying to do, so that you can reach out to people who are not necessarily going to listen on the traditional political channels. This gives you a chance for them to see, okay, this is not just about one party or another. It is just the way we live in this country, what will be our future, so we can work together for our future in our community. So that's the reason I am involved in this
Well, and finding common
movement.
ground, right? Like finding common
Exactly.
ground to talk to people on, because we're so divided right now in this country that, like, if you're a quote unquote liberal, like you want to eat live babies. That's what I saw on somebody who's
Yeah.
running for a house seat in the state of Arizona. I saw on this person's he had at the Easter parade, and he had something up, and it said liberals want to eat babies or something like
Yeah,
that.
but I just heard that
But-
was in the Epstein files. now.
Yeah. Ugh.
I don't know if it is. I have not. I did.
We don't even want
not
to talk
see
about the
with my
Epstein
own eyes,
files.
But I just heard that one. I was like, but this was what? I don't know.
But where I was going with that is like the idea that I'm a Democrat, and I'm proud to say I'm a Democrat. But I'm like in the middle, moderate
But most
type,
people,
right? And but to say that, or to group me into people, that's one, not even true. Like we want to kill live babies or whatever. That's murder. That's called murder.
Correct.
In the United States of America, you will go to jail. Nobody wants to kill a baby unless you're satanic or something. But it's like that kind of thing where we're trying to bridge the gap a little bit, of bringing people more to the center to talk to each other, so that when these outright lies come up and about one side or the other, like we can legit talk about it as people.
Yes.
And that's what we're missing. Like we should be able to sit in a room together and disagree, and not have people say you're a murderer, or you're whatever, MAGA whatever. Everybody who voted for Trump probably isn't MAGA. You know what I mean?
I think that people are as divided as we think they are. I think that there are these people on the fringe and these people on the fringe and everybody else in the middle, right? I think that most of these people, especially with what we're seeing happening in elections, is that most people don't want this crazy, but most people don't want all this way to the other side, this idea that people are eating babies.
Yeah.
Most people want a comfortable life, a retirement, the ability to afford their home and gas and food and to travel and school for kids. People want a life and comfortability, and to be almost all people. People don't want this, whatever is happening.
Yeah.
They don't want this, and we're seeing that. But, I think almost all people can agree on that. And if it's the second you say Republican or Democrat, that's where people
those labels
split, right?
Those labels. And I mean, I commend you for organizing a rally, really a rally that we knew nationwide was a huge deal, right? And it was like one of the highest numbers, if not the highest, in our history for rallies, or in the United States. I commend you that you wanted to reach across to people who could have been an adversary to you but wasn't, and you came out and talked about it, and maybe wanted to hear a different side of things. But to Gabby's point, we're so divided. I really don't know how we get back to the center.
The divisions, the situation in our political world right now. If you wanna talk about this, we wanna be one of those podcasts that they last like 2.5 hours. Yeah. We can do that. Absolutely. It has so much aspects of it. But again, thank you for your kind words, and that's the idea: is reaching out to new people to remind them that we agree on so many stuff. This division.
What's the old saying? It's the economy, stupid, right? People care about affordability. End of story. the issues, and I'm going to let you get back because I just cut you off. But the issue is affordability, like the cost of living, like being able to take care of your family. Those are the common issues that we all have.
We just want to live, like you said earlier, we live in a dignity. We would like to afford to our families. We like to do our work, and we hope that our kids and grandkids will have a better life than what we have. And that's the idea, live in peace. And that's the thing that feels like it's under attack right now. And that's why people are coming out in this huge numbers to protest against what's going on in our country. And I want to emphasize the part of peace right now because of the war that is going on. And people, one of the most important signs that I saw at the Gilbert rally was a family, the grandparents actually, they had their posters saying that, hey, don't send my kid to Iran.
Right.
And then the other one was saying,
we also
hey,
don't want that. We don't want to send our
you
kids
sent
to that.
my grandson to Iran. Why don't you send yours, Trump? That hit me. This is real. This is the part that we are sometimes in this discourse we lose. These are real people. This is their life. And this is their precious grandson out there being in danger, in my opinion, for no reason. And that's why people are out trying to stop this. A kid grow up in Gilbert, why is he in Iran right now, putting his life in danger? And that is hard for me to
something that
understand.
Didn't need to happen.
Exactly.
That never needed to happen, for lives that didn't need to be on both sides. I mean, yes, whatever happened in Iran is Iran, but this did not need to happen. You do not need to murder people and send people to die for vanity.
Here is the most important, another important part. I would say we're recording this Wednesday morning after the Easter, and I'm assuming, like all of us yesterday, because of the Trump's deadline,
right.
I don't know what adjective to use, the crazy tweets, the whole world, we were waiting all our not excitement, but with nervousness, with anxiety, what will happen yesterday afternoon.
Right. Yeah.
And it came to a point that we realized just one or two people can affect the lives of billions of people. And this shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be out there worrying about almost a madman's decision to put the lives of billions of people in danger.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get back to part 2 with AJ here in the next episode, but you're watching the Around the Districts podcast. So if you have any comments, please share, like, comment, and let us know what you think, and we'll see you in the next episode.